For our latest double indie game review, we have two games that are both very well executed takes on their respective designs, with Super Mombo Quest and Dave the Diver. Super Mombo Quest tries to combine the elements of a Metroidvania with a kind of arcade-style progression. When the King of Nightmares threatens all dimensions, it's up to the very weirdly designed Mombo to save the day through jump, dashing, and tongue licking in order to do it. The game itself is very much, again, this split between the Metroidvania aspects of progression and upgrades with a kind of stage-based focus, and it's really quite unique in this regard. A lot of Metroidvanias make their worlds very big. There's a lot of kind of just dead time, wandering between rooms that are just there for padding. In this game, every room is kind of treated as its own individualized stage, with enemies, things to collect, and a completion marker or a Mombo coin that you can get for getting through all the challenge. In each room, your goal is to collect all the various MacGuffin crystals and defeat every enemy in a single combo chain, with your combo timer kind of recharging anytime you hit an enemy, as well as other things that you can unlock. Get everything done and you'll collect your precious Mombo coin, and the room will be kind of like checked off as being completed. The Mombo coins themselves act as your progression gates, and you'll need to collect enough of them to get to each one of the game's boss fights and unlock a new power. Mombo gets different forms, which will affect his kind of special move and other properties as well, and some of the areas will be designed to take advantage of them. The platforming in this one is pretty much, I think, like moderate to maybe moderate challenging for the most part. Where it may get a little bit challenging for newer players will be the final area of the game, but all in all, this is a very straightforward Metroidvania. And I really like this approach to the fact that every room is treated as its own stage, as it really incentivizes and kind of pushes the player towards 100% completion. Because each room kind of checks off once you've completed it, and each room itself is very short. It means that you can kind of go like the potato chip route of do a map, and then you have to do another one, and then you have to do another one, and so on and so forth. If I had any real complaints about the game, is that again, like some of the layer areas do feel a little bit more challenging. It gets a little bit more demanding in terms of swapping between multiple forms, but if you're someone who has played any challenging platformer or Metroidvania in the past 10 years, then Mombo should be more than within your skill level to beat. And there's a kind of bonus arena mode to do, and again, going for 100%. But the game plays very nicely. I like the upgrades that you can unlock, especially one that makes you immune to damage when you're going through areas you've already completed. It makes the act of backtracking and once again going for 100% feel really good in the player's hands. So if you are a fan of platformers or movement-focused Metroidvanias and you missed out on Super Mombo Quest, I highly recommend this one. It is definitely not on the lengthier side, and it's another very solid weekend-style game, or something just to play when you have a few minutes to jump and lick too. So be sure to check this one out if you're looking for a lick and tear Metroidvania. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going under the sea for some sushi hunting and management sim with Dave the Diver. If you're interested in my thoughts on design, then be sure to check out my game design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with more coming soon. We now turn to Dave the Diver, and this is the latest attempt at the kind of roguelite management sim style that has been popularized thanks to Racketeer. We've seen games such as Moonlighter attempt this as well. And with Dave over here, this is perhaps one of the closest we've seen to capturing that magic of management and rogueliteness. We play as Dave, well, the diver, who has been asked by his friend Cobra to become the diver for a new sushi restaurant at the mysterious Blue Hole, a section of ocean where every fish on the planet can be found, and it seems like the perfect place to set up for some fantastic sushi. The game itself is split between day and evening cycles. During the daytime, you will dive into the Blue Hole, which is procedurally generated each time to collect fish, solve quests, and get any materials and items you will need. At night, you will help run the sushi restaurant. You will plan the menu based on what you catch, and you'll need to do your best to keep all the patrons happy, fed, and get those tips. Now, one thing that this game does really well, and it was one of the issues I had with a game like Moonlighter, is that it does a fantastic job of weaving the management sim loop into the kind of diving / action roguelite loop. You see, the money that you earn through the restaurant is what you'll be using to unlock all the upgrades. This includes increasing your ability to dive deeper, carry or hold more ingredients, do more damage with your harpoon gun, and so on. So the game itself is structured that the better you dive, the more ingredients you get, the more ingredients you get, the more money you make, and then the more money you make, the more you can do on the dive, and repeat as often as needed. The story is told through a chapter progression, as you'll have different secondary and main quests that will unlock as you will play, and you'll need to complete them in order to move things forward. This will unlock things such as additional content, mini games, features in both the diving and management side, and of course a bevy of bosses that you will need to fight, beat, and then use the parts to upgrade yourself almost Monster Hunter style. And the game, again, it is definitely one of the closest I've seen to capturing that magic of Racketeer. With that said, I do have a few little issues here and there with it. Similar to that of Moonlighter, and some of the other games we've played that have gone this route, while you are exploring literally the ocean, the game is not as deep in terms of either system. And at this time of doing this review, we are probably in the back half of it in terms of unlocks and content. The diving itself is kept relatively basic. You will get different guns and different tools you can attach to your harpoon, but if you're hoping for kind of meta unlocks or major persistent upgrades, things that change the run or change what you're able to do on each run, you're not going to find as much of that here. In the middle of the game, when you're introduced to another group of people, which I don't want to spoiler here, it does kind of slow things down. On the management sim side, I do like being able to upgrade your ingredients or upgrade your menu options by kind of combining ingredients and unlocking more recipes. But again, it's not going to be as deep as, say, being able to set your own pricing, being able to do more in this respect. Both kind of loops are kept on the moderate side, and that's why this is a really great game to play if you're looking for something that, again, is not going to be super taxing. This is not going to be the Dark Souls of dining or the Dark Souls of diving either. And it does a great job of, again, weaving that roguelite nature between the two systems. And you are required to interact with both, and there's more than enough content between the two to keep you invested and move you through them. From a UI perspective, I wasn't a fan of a lot of the menuing, especially going through upgrading ingredients or moving stuff from your storage, and some of the fishing minigames themselves, such as rapidly pressing a button to catch a fish, can be a little bit taxing on your hands when you're doing it constantly in some of the areas. And I also want to give a shout out to the pixel art and especially the cutscenes. The game gets almost like Katamari Damacy in terms of the weirdness of them, and does a great job of highlighting and giving the game more life, especially with the various characters you meet. So if you are looking for a fantastic action roguelite, and bonus points if you also really enjoy sushi, then I highly recommend Dave the Diver. And with that, we're going to wrap things up for this double review. And both games were played with retail keys. So if you'd like me to tackle your game for a future stream, video, and so on, please reach out. Do all the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do, and visit our Discord and Patreon. Come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.